Welcome to another episode of All That Matters. Like my intro said, welcome to another episode of All That Matters. It's me, your host, Joe Matta. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I believe is extremely important. Now, if you guys recall from my first video, I mentioned that there will be some videos that I do that involve my religious perspective on things. So this video is one of those videos. Now, I'm going to specifically be talking about ego today. And I think this is one of the most important topics that anybody can discuss. And the reason I believe that is because I think there are two things that are really destroying our ability as a civilization, meaning the entire world, to become better and to live harmoniously. And I know this is something that'll never be resolved completely, but I feel like I should share it. So I talked about one of the things, which is selfishness. I talked about that in the first video that we did. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about the second thing. And that second thing is ego. I want you to ask yourself, how many people do you know, including yourself, that have felt the need for consistent validation, that have always had something to prove, that want to make sure that you know and everybody else knows that they're better than this, and this than you or anybody else? The reason this is such a problem and the reason ego is so prevalent in today's society is because we are not giving the glory to God. The moment we think that we are the ones that have overcome a specific trial, or we are the ones that have reached a specific level because of things that we have done, and us alone, is the moment that we become egotistical. Why is this? Because if you are always giving yourself the glory, then you are overvaluing yourself and taking away the glory that is to be given to God. When you give that glory to God and you remove that value from yourself, then it puts things into perspective. And then you can finally understand that it wasn't you, but it was the Lord that allowed you the ability to do these things, that gave you the blessings, that gave you the skills, that gave you the capabilities of being able to accomplish whatever it is that you are currently accomplishing, whether it's walking from where I'm sitting right now to the bed, whether it is being able to do this YouTube video right now, whether it's able to be eating a snack, whatever it is, it doesn't even matter. Anything is accomplished because the Lord allows it to be so. Now, the world always wants you to be the main character of your own story. That's what it's always telling you. Be the main character of your own story. Believe in yourself above all others. Know that you are the one that is capable of anything. The issue with this is when we put ourselves at the center, then we build an identity that is fragile and self-dependent. Now, if we look at Proverbs 16, verses 18 through 20, we can see a direct example of what I mean by this. In this set of verses, it says the following: "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than divide the spoils with the prideful. He who heeds these words wisely will find good, and whoever trusts in the Lord, happy is he." I'm sure you've heard of the saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well, it's very, very applicable in this case, because the more you build yourselves up and fill yourself with pride, the harder that crash is when reality humbles you. I want you to think about the real life examples we see day to day, whether it's celebrities, athletes, or anybody else who has risen to prominence in our society. Because they've built their entire identity around the stardom that accompanies them. If anything happens that even puts a small crack into that armor that made them feel like they were invincible, they come crumbling down. Let alone something as scandalous as the things that we hear about on a day-to-day basis. In this day and age, we hear so many things about ego death. But the reality is if that we are not surrendering our ego to God, then that's like trying to navigate a maze with a blindfold on. We might take a few steps in the right direction, and that might build a little bit of confidence. But eventually we're going to hit a wall. And when we do, we're going to realize very quickly that without relying on Him, we cannot make it through whatever it is that we're trying to navigate in that moment. In the Bible, Jesus makes it very clear that without Him, without God, you are incapable of anything. In John chapter 15, verse 5, Jesus states, "I am the vine and you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing." He clearly states that you have to give the glory to God, because He is capable of allowing you to do literally everything that you are doing. And if you are not giving Him the glory, it is very, very easy for Him to take it away from us. Now, He just doesn't take it away from us just because. But the reality is that He can. And the more and more we live our life without glorifying God, without giving Him the praise for what we've been able to do in our lives, for all the accomplishments we've been able to make, for all the goals that we've been able to set and then reach, for all the things that we thought we could never get out of but then made it out of, then we are putting ourselves in a position to fail. And that failure may not happen now, it may come later. Nobody knows what the next day, the next second may even bring. But without Him, we are incapable. And whether we feel it now or we will feel it later, there is an undoubtable circumstance that will happen at some time that will show us how incapable we are and shows us how humble we should have been and how much more humble we still have to become. Now, I can list another 10, 15 verses in the Bible that talk specifically about this topic and that pretty much tell you to just give the glory to God, give thanks to the Lord. But this is the main point. A lot of us struggle with the need for validation. And a lot of us always walk around with a chip on our shoulder, feeling the need to prove ourselves to everyone around us. But in reality, the moment you give yourself to Christ, the moment you give up you as the center of your storyline and understand that He is the one that pulls the strings and allows us to do everything, you will be able to let go of all of that need for validation, and you'll be able to move on and start moving your life in the trajectory that you've always wanted it to go. The last Bible verse I want to mention is James 4, chapter 10, where James specifically tells us, humble yourself before the Lord and He will lift you up. Because the reality is, the lower we put ourselves and the higher we put God, the more of an opportunity it allows God to exalt us and to put us in the positions that we need to be put in. Because we are no longer relying on our own strength, which is limited, but now we are using the strength of God, which is unlimited. So at the end of the day, I just want you to keep in mind that you will be able to defeat any and all of these insecurities, any and all of these fears, as long as you are choosing to give glory to God. You do that, you humble yourself, then you open the door to multiple possibilities and multiple avenues where you can consistently grow, become a better person, and be able to overcome your ego. And if you ended up liking this episode, leave me a comment below, just letting me know what you liked, even what you disliked. And if you have some ideas about how to let go of your ego, please leave them down below as well. I really want this to be a community where we can all learn from each other, become better people every single day, and learn to embrace humility and difference.